Hello and welcome back to Major League Talk Giants edition. Today is Friday, April 28th, 2023. My name is Henry Self, and this is episode 9. Today we're going to be reviewing the series against the St. Louis Cardinals. So the series against the Cardinals was the second four-game series in a row for the Giants at home. Like the Giants, the Cardinals have gotten off to a slow and disappointing start relative to fan expectation and on-paper talent. The Giants managed to take 3 of 4, winning the first 3 and extending their win streak to 5 in that, and then dropping the fourth game. Game 1 saw a complete game shutout from Cobb and only one inning of action for the offense. We ended up winning 4-0. Game 2 was a more dramatic showing, coming down to the last strike the Giants had, and Sable walking it off with a 2-run home run, winning 5-4. Game 3 saw Goldschmidt dominate the Giants pitchers with home runs in his first 2 at bats. However, it proved to be inconsequential for the Giants, with the team picking up the win 7-3. Game 4 turned into a pitcher's duel between Mikolas and Webb, both of which have had rough starts to their seasons. Unfortunately, the Cardinals struck first in the 7th and would end up winning 6-0. It's hard to sweep in the major leagues. So, starters for each game were Montgomery and Cobb, then Woodford versus Brebbia opening for the bullpen game, Matz versus DeSclafani, and then finally Mikolas versus Webb. So for game 1, our starter on the mound was Cobb, who threw a gem of a game and his second complete game shutout in his career, 11 years after his first, when he played for Tampa Bay. His final line included giving up only 6 hits, walking 1, and striking out 4. For our lineup, Slater led off DH. He went 2 for 3 with no strikeouts. Peterson would end up coming in for him later on in that same spot. Estrada was in at shortstop. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Haniger was in left field. He went 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a walk, but he also got an RBI off a sac fly. Davis was at third. He went 2 for 4 with a 3-run home run. Conforto went 0 for 4 at he was in right field. He had 2 strikeouts. Flores was at first. He went 1 for 4 with 1 strikeout, and then Wade Jr. would come into pinch run for him and then play first. VR was at second. He went 0 for 3. Yastrzemski was in center field. He went 2 for 4 with a strikeout and a run. And Bart was catching. He went 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Then Sable would have to come in and pinch run for him and then finish up playing catcher. And he went 0 for 1 with a strikeout. So in total, they went 8 for 32 with 10 strikeouts, 2 walks, and 4 runs with 1 home run. Like I said, that coming off of Davis's 3-run shot. So thanks to Cobb having a career game, the bullpen was able to rest for the night. As for the offense, they left 8 on base, went 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Jock was intentionally walked. VR was hit by a pitch. Davis got a 2-out RBI thanks to a 3-run home run in the 7th. Bart hit a double and Haniger hit a sac fly. The defense turned 1 double play. It was Cobb to VR to Flores. And honestly, the fact that Cobb was able to pitch a complete game shutout with only 4 strikeouts is a pretty good testament to the defense and how they played very well behind him in that game. Let's just go ahead and look at this full play-by-play real quick before we even get into his pitcher report and the ump report. So let's just look at all the outs that he got. Ground out, strikeout, ground out, strikeout, line out, fly out, ground out, line out, ground out. Then there was a double, then a ground out and a ground out. Bunt grounded out to pitcher. Infield single, ground out, a walk, and then a ground out. Ground out, single, grounded to double play. Ground out, pop out, single, fielder's choice. Ground out, double, ground out, strikeout. And then a fly out, a ground out, and a strikeout. Struck out swinging too. That was really cool to see for the final out of the game. But let's go ahead and look at his pitcher report real quick. 109 pitches for this complete game for Cobb. 50 splitters, 44 sinkers, 11 knuckle curves, and 4 sliders. So the splitter came in at 90.4. His knuckle curve averaged 83.4. His sinker 94.8, and his slider 86.6. Now, as for the movement relative to the center line that it has, like I said, I'm assuming this is from the release point. That slider had a good amount of drop, and the knuckle curve had a lot more drop, obviously, and both of those pitches were going away from a right-handed batter. Then his splitter and his sinker, the splitters had more drop than the sinkers, and they were coming into a right-handed batter. Release point almost at 6 feet. As for the strike zone, a lot of these were pretty much kind of stayed right around the strike zone. There's nothing, though, dramatic like way down low and away or way up and in anywhere. This was a pretty good grouping. There is like one that looks like it went way in on a right-handed batter. 57 of his pitches were in the strike zone, meaning that 52 were out of the zone. Batters would swing at 51 of his pitches and take 58. They took all of the knuckle curves, swung at majority splitters. There were a couple sliders in there that they swung at. 39 balls, and that's a mix of knuckle curves, splitters, and sinkers. 23 strikes, 19 of which were called, and 4 were swinging. The 4 swinging strikes were 3 splitters and a sinker. 47 balls were contacted with, 19 foul tips, mainly sinkers and a few splitters, 22 hits resulting in outs, and then 6 base hits. And that was 3 splitters, 1 slider, and 2 sinkers for the 6 base hits. He had 12 hard hits. There were a lot of ground balls, 1 line drive, and 2 fly balls for hard hits. So, great game for Cobb. Good, memorable game for him to have. The ump behind the dish was Nick Lentz. Overall accuracy, 97%. It says he called 130 of 134 taking pitches correctly. Overall consistency, 93%. 6 called balls inside the estimated ump zone, 3 called strikes out. Overall favor plus 0.16 runs for St. Louis. Impactful missed calls. Bottom of the 7th, Verhagen to Estrada, no outs, bases loaded, 1-0 count, ball is called a strike. Top of the 8th, Cobb to Newt Barr, 1 out, bases empty, 2-1 count, ball is called a strike. And then top of the 4th, Cobb to Newt Barr, no outs, bases empty, first pitch, strike, called a ball. His called ball accuracy was 99%. 1 of 93 called balls were true strikes, and his called strike accuracy, 93%. 3 of 41 called strikes were true balls. So that was our game 1. That extended our winning streak to 3 at the time. Game 2, Kapler and company decided to go with a bullpen game approach. I'll go over all the pitchers after the lineup. And honestly, for this one, I'm not really going to read the pitcher reports because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pitchers in this one game for a bullpen game. That's a lot of pitcher reports to read, especially when the most pitches that one of them threw was 24 and the least was 10. So our lineup, we had Wade Jr. in left. He went 1 for 4. Conforto in right, who would go 1 for 3 with a strikeout and a walk. Davis at third, went 0 for 3 with a walk. Peterson 2 for 4 with a strikeout and a run. Yastrzemski in center field, he was 2 for 4 with a strikeout, a home run, 2 RBIs. Estrada was at second. He went 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts and a run. Crawford was at short. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Sable was catching. He went 2 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, but he also hit a home run. He has 2 RBIs. He was scored once. And VR at first went 0 for 3. Total, that means we went 9 for 33, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, 5 runs, 4 RBIs, 2 home runs. As stated before, this was a bullpen game. The opener was Brebbia. He warmed up to Kid Quill's the opener, and he ended up pitching 1 1/3 innings, giving up 1 hit and striking out 2. Manai came on in the second and ended up pitching 1 1/3 as well. He'd strike out 2 and give up a hit in the third, which was a home run. Junis was next, pitching for an inning and giving up 1 hit, striking out 1. Taylor Rogers followed, pitching 1 1/3 innings, giving up only a 1 hit and striking out 1. Tyler Rogers came out in the 6th and 7th innings, striking out 1, giving up no runs or hits and walking none. Scott Alexander had the shortest outing. He only recorded 1 out. His short appearance was due to giving up 3 hits, and one of which was an RBI, being credited with 3 runs in total. Duvall would end up getting the last 2 outs of the 8th, one via the strikeout, but not before giving up a hit, which was what scored 2 runners Alexander was responsible for. Jelly would pitch the 9th, giving up 1 hit and hitting a batter. Defense got the 3 outs from him via sacrifice to the pitcher and line out to left in the fielder's choice to second. They left 4 on base as far as the Giants' offense. Left 4 on base, went 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Davis would ground into a double play. Estrada would steal second, then get to third on a throwing error, and then score on a fielding error in the second inning. Sable got the 2-out RBI on his walk-off home run. VR earned an error on a dropped foul ball, and VR also turned a double play. Donovan lined out to VR, and VR also tagged Carlson at first. Unassisted double play, which turns out would not be the only unassisted double play that happened in this series for the Giants. This game was close. Like I said, like watching it, getting down to the 9th inning, I'm always nervous watching any baseball game get down to the 9th inning. We're on the last outs. Even if we're leading, I get nervous because I've seen this team give up leads. We give up leads late in the game too. But bottom of the 9th, we're down 4-2, right? And Peterson hits an infield single. He reaches base. Yastrzemski doubles and once again scores Peterson from first to home. So now we're up a run, or we put another run up. Now we're down 4-3. Got a runner on second, and Estrada comes up, and I'm thinking, all right, we got this. We got Estrada up. This should be fine. Popped out to the shortstop. Then Crawford comes on, and he's been having a rough go of it this season. Strikes out swinging. So now we went from no outs, runner scored, runner on second, to 2 outs, runner on second, with Blake Sable coming up, the rookie. And I'll admit, I went ahead and thought, all right, this game is over. Better luck next game. Gets 2 strikes on him. And then for some reason, Helsley gives him another slider. 3 sliders in a row. He went curve, slider, slider, slider. And he knocked it again to center field. Sable has got, I think most of his home runs this year, 4 or 5, are out to center. And it was the coolest thing in the world to watch the rookie get the walk-off home run, especially considering he's a Rule 5 draft pick, so he's got to stay on the roster. He's getting back to where he should be. He's getting to where he should be offensively. We just really need him to figure out his defense, because unfortunately he also has 5 errors on him, and I believe all 5 of them are catcher interference, or maybe one of them's a throwing error and 4 of them are catcher's interference. He has no errors when he plays the outfield, by the way. But so, like I said, I'm not really going to give her pitcher reports for these pitchers. Brebbia threw 24 pitches, Mania threw 13, Junis threw 21, Taylor Rogers threw 14, Tyler Rogers threw 21, Scott Alexander threw 11, Camila Duvall threw 12, and Jelly threw 10. So a lot of pitchers there, and we managed to have a good bullpen game. They kept it close. They didn't let anything get out of hand. As far as the runs, Mania only has 1 earned run on this one, and then Scott Alexander's credited with 3. So when you look at that dispersion of the pitcher's work, Brebbia, Junis, Taylor, Tyler, Duvall, and Jelly all holding the batters runless and their times in the game. That's what you like to see, especially out of a bullpen game like this. You like to see a lot of these guys, especially if we're going to try and stretch it to 10 pitchers, have decent outings. I strikeouts are fun, strikeouts are nice, but as long as we can keep it on the ground, we can turn those ground balls into outs. I'm completely fine with that. I mean, we struck out 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of their batters, and we struck out, what did I say, 10 times? 9 times. So, but let's move on to the next, or before we move on to the next game, I need to go over the ump report at least. It was Jeremy Rahak. I think that's how you say his name, Rehak. He was behind the dish. Overall accuracy 95%, called 132 of 139, taking pitches correctly. Overall consistency 95%. Overall favor plus 0.18 runs for San Francisco. Impactful missed calls, bottom of the 8th. Gallegos to Conforto, 1 out, runner on first, 2-2 count. A strike is called a ball. Bottom of the 6th, Woodford to Davis, no outs, bases empty, 3-0 count. A ball is called a strike. And bottom of the 6th, Woodford to Davis, no outs, bases empty, 2-0 count. Strike is called a ball. Called ball accuracy 94%, 5 of 87 called balls are true strikes, and called strike accuracy 96%, 2 of 52 called strikes were true balls. So decent job for the ump there. All right, so let's move on to game 3. This would be DeSclafani on the mound. DeSclafani pitched a quality start, going 6 innings, giving up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, walking 1 and striking out 6. DeSclafani has stepped up for this team and been really good this year. It's good to see him with the amount of confidence that he's got in his games. Our lineup, Slater was in center. He would go 2 for 4 with a strikeout, a walk, and an RBI. Strada was at short, and then he would end up moving to second. He went 3 for 5 with a strikeout and a run. Conforto was DHing. He went 2 for 5 with a strikeout, an RBI, and a run. Davis was at third. He went 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. Haniger was in left, 1 for 4 with a walk, and he was scored twice. Wade Jr. was in right. He went 2 for 4 with a walk, home run, and 2 RBIs. Flores was 1 for 5 with a strikeout, a home run, 2 RBIs. VR was at second. He would go 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, and then Crawford would come in to take his spot in the batting lineup. That's why Estrada would go from short to second. Crawford coming in. He's only going to play short. And then Sable was catching. He went 2 for 3 with a strikeout, a walk, and a run. So that put us at 13 for 38 with 11 strikeouts, 5 walks, 7 runs, 6 RBIs, and 2 home runs collectively as a team. The first reliever out of the pen was Tristan Beck, who would go 1 inning, walking only 1, giving up no hits or runs. Tyler Rogers came out in the eighth, walking one, getting no strikeouts, giving up one hit and no runs. Jelly would come out for the ninth, yet would only record one out. He'd walk two and give up an RBI double. Duvall would come out to finish the game, walking one and getting Goldschmidt to ground into a double play. The Giants left 12 on base, went 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position, had 3 runners steal bases, Slater, Estrada, and Sable. Slater and Estrada hit doubles. Wade hit a triple. Flores and Wade Jr. hit home runs, and Slater and Wade Jr. both got 2 out RBIs. They would turn 3 double plays. Beck to Flores, Crawford to Estrada to Flores, and then Estrada to Crawford to Flores. Sable would earn another catcher's interference error. Like I said, he's got 5 on the season, all of them as catcher. And so this was a come from behind win for the Giants because first 2 at bats Goldschmidt has, one in the first and one in the third. He hits home runs. Luckily, they were solo. So we were down 2-0, but then we tied it up in the fourth, took the lead in the fifth, and then would score 2 in the seventh and 2 in the eighth. As far as pitcher report, I'm only going to go over Dave Sclafani. I think I'm going to try something new. Maybe just go over the starters for the pitcher reports. Dave Sclafani threw 96 pitches, 46 sliders, 29 sinkers, 10 changeups, 10 four-seamers, and 1 knuckle curve just for fun. Changeup was 86.5. Four-seamers, 93.2. Sinkers, 93.1. And sliders, 86.7. Sliders, based on this, it says it's not much lateral movement. A little bit away from a righty. That knuckle curve had a lot of drop. Change up four-seamers and sinkers were all moving more toward a righty. So all relatively same release point. Strike zone. No, it's more like it's coming down and away from a righty. He threw 43 pitches in the zone, 53 out of the zone, that knuckle curve being one of them. And it was swung on. Batters would swing at 45 of his pitches and take 51. 36 balls in total. 28 total strikes, 15 of them called, 13 of them swinging. 32 pitches were contacted with for 15 foul tips, 11 hits for outs, and 6 base hits. 8 hard hit balls, and all of the hard hit balls were sinkers. 4 ground balls, 2 line drives, and 2 fly balls. And then the ump was Paul Emmel. Overall accuracy, 89%. Overall consistency, 92%. Overall favor, plus 0.33 runs for St. Louis. Impactful missed calls. Top of the fifth, Dave Sclafani to Arenado. 2 outs, runner on second. 1-2 count. Strike is called a ball. Top of the eighth, Rogers to Gorman. No outs, runner on first. 1-0 count. A ball is called a strike. And then bottom of the seventh, Thompson to Wade Jr. No outs, runner on first. 1-0 count. Strike is called a ball. Called ball accuracy, 91%, 13 of 144 called balls are true strikes. Called strike accuracy, 86%, 9 of 64 called strikes were true balls. That's a lot of called balls, 144. Good Lord. Compared to 64 called strikes. So that brings us to the final game. We were looking to potentially sweep. It's hard to sweep in the majors, especially a 4-game set. But it happens. And some teams just have rough skids. Some teams are on fire for a while. Game 4, Webb would be starting on the mound. He would pitch a great game, honestly. getting out of a bases loaded situation early on. However, he would give up 2 runs in the seventh, and even pitching a quality start would not be enough to secure a win, or at least a no decision, due to the offense's inability to hit Mikolas. Webb's final line was 6 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. For the lineup, you had Wade Jr., who would go 1 for 4. Wade was also in left, by the way, excuse me. He went 1 for 4, 2 strikeouts, and a walk. Estrada, 1 for 3. He was at second. Peterson DHing 0 for 3. Then Haniger would come in to pinch hit and be DH. He'd go 1 for 1. Conforto in right field was 0 for 4. Flores at first was 0 for 3 with a strikeout and a walk. Yastrzemski at center field was 1 for 3 with a strikeout and a walk. Sable catching was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. VR at third was 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. And then Crawford at short was 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Total of 6 hits and 33 at bats, 10 strikeouts, 3 walks. Relievers, Brebbia would come on in the seventh to get the final out via fly out to center, inheriting runners on second and third. He'd only get 2 outs in the eighth, giving up a single, getting a fielder's choice, then giving up an RBI double. At that point, Beck would come on and give up a 2-run home run to the first batter he faced on the second pitch. It was DeJong, however you say that. I'm sorry. Scoring a runner, Brebbia was responsible for, making Brebbia's final line 1 inning, 2 hits, and 2 runs. Beck would finish the game, giving up another run in the ninth. His final line was 1 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 strikeouts. The Giants offense left 10 on base, went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Yaz and Wade Jr. both hit doubles. Yaz off Mikolas, Wade off Cabrera. Crawford and Estrada stole bases. Flores got an unassisted double play. The Giants ended up with only 4 hits off of Mikolas, by the way. Estrada was hit by a pitch from Mikolas, and it looked pretty serious. Luckily, he said he was okay to stay in. So, it like I said, it's hard to sweep. It's also, it didn't make it any better that it was another time we got shut out at home. Not a big fan of teams getting shut out at home. I don't care which team it is. Seeing any team get shut out at home, it's pretty rough for that fan base. It's easier to stomach, at least for me, a shutout when you're on the road. But oh well. Like I said, we move on, right? Pitcher report for Webb. In his 6 2/3 innings, he threw 102 pitches. Like I said, he had to get out of a bases loaded situation earlier in the game. He threw 39 of his sinkers, 38 changeups, 18 sliders, and 7 four-seamers. The changeups, 87.3. The four-seamers, 93.5. Sinkers, 93.1. Sliders, 84.6. Good movement. Most of his pitches don't have too much drop, a decent mid-range drop, honestly. Those four-seamers, sinkers, and changeups moving more toward a righty, and the sliders kind of moving more away. His strike zone distribution coming more down and out to a righty. 48 of those pitches were in the strike zone. 54 were out of the strike zone. Batters swing at 53 of his pitches and take 49. They only took one of those four-seamers. They swung at the others. It looks like they would swing mostly at his changeups and then take most of his sinkers. 32 balls. He got 30 strikes, 17 of them called, 13 of them swinging. 40 pitches were contacted with, 21 foul tips, 12 hits for outs, 7 base hits. So those base hits, 2 were four-seamers, 1 was a slider, 1 was a changeup, and 3 were sinkers. He had 9 hard hits, 4 ground balls, 2 line drives, and 3 fly balls. As for his relief pitchers, Brebbia, even though he only went 1 inning through 27 pitches, and it took Tristan Beck 38 pitches to get through 1 1/3 innings. So a lot of pitches from the relief guys there. Chad Fairchild was behind the dish, calling the balls and strikes. Overall accuracy of 97%, called 149 of 153 taken pitches correctly. Overall, consistency 95%. Overall favor very low. It was almost even. Plus 0.01 runs for St. Louis. Impactful missed calls. Top of the seventh, Webb to Burleson, 1 out, bases empty, and 0-2 count. A strike is called a ball. Top of the seventh, Webb to Arenado. No outs, bases empty. 0-1 count. Ball is called a strike. Top of the third, Webb to O'Neill. No outs, bases empty. First pitch, ball is called a strike. Called ball accuracy 99%. 1 of 99 called balls were true strikes. And called strike accuracy 94%. 3 of 54 called strikes were true balls. So that's the series there against the Cardinals. Cardinals are a struggling team. We're a struggling team still. This 4-game set puts us at 11-14. That's still only 4th in the West. Colorado is down at the bottom with at a record of 8-18. That is rough. But even at 11-14, we're only 2.5 games back from first. Arizona leads at 14-12. The Dodgers are in second at 500, 13-13. And San Diego is in third at 13-14. The Giants worked to a 5-game win streak, and having it in on the last game of the homestand is kind of rough, honestly, in my opinion. But still, when you look at the teams we faced, taking 2 from the Mets and taking 3 from the Cardinals, not a bad thing. I'm pretty happy with that, honestly. That puts them at 5-3 on this homestand and now 7-7 at home on the season. The batting lineups are now 207 for 861 with 38 home runs. That drops us to 3rd in the NL. And 266 strikeouts. We are leading the NL in strikeouts. Let's do some quick math, by the way. 266 strikeouts for 861 at-bats. It's a 31% strikeout rate. Say we're about 1/7 of the way through the season, by the way. It still has us on pace to have over 1,800 strikeouts. Now we're getting closer to 1,900. If we kept up the same pace and we're only about 1/7 of the way through, that's a 1,862 strikeouts. Ugh. But we'll see what happens. We've drawn 85 walks. That's good for 9th in the NL. We've stolen 17 bases, 8th in the NL, and been caught stealing 3 times, 2nd. Our team is slashing 240, 320, 416. Those are all increases from the last episode for an OPS of 735. It's all good for 12th, 8th, 7th, and 7th in the NL, respectively. We've also been hit by 17 pitches, which is ranked 1st in the NL. So we're crowding the plate, I guess. Our pitching staff has a combined ERA of 4.25, giving up 228 hits and being credited with 106 earned runs, 122 total runs. Pitchers have given up 34 home runs, which is 13th in the NL. At least we have more than we've given up. They've walked 63, which is good enough to lead the NL. Pitchers have struck out 226, which is only 7th in the NL. They're 6th in earned runs, 11th in hits, and 6th in ERA. The pitching staff's FIP is 4.28 and WHIP is 1.295. Sean Jelly has the highest WHIP at 2.027. Taylor Rogers is still dropping. Now he's at 1.565. So keep that up, Taylor. Highest FIP is still Taylor Rogers, though, but it has dropped again. Now it's down to 8.18. Hits per 9, Tristan Beck at 14.1, but it's a drop from last week. I think last week he was at 15.2. So here we are, 25 games in. So let's take a look at some leaders. When you look at batting average, our leader is, of course, and to really no one's surprise that's been paying attention, it's Tyro Estrada at 326. I would say Austin Slater at 571, but Slater's only had 7 at bats. So Tyro Estrada has had 95 at bats. And then for OPS, you've got Lamont Wade Jr. at 889. That's thanks to his 429 on base percentage right now. So as long as he can keep drawing those walks, it'd be nice to see him hit a couple more home runs too. But right now, our slugging leader is also Tyro Estrada at a 505. His OPS plus is 141. The only guys that are kind of low on the OPS plus, Sable's at 97. He'll get better. Crawford is the worst right now at 48. And then Conforto at 94. But these guys are getting their strides finally. The whole team is starting to come together more. We've played the best baseball this past week than we have the first 2 to 3 weeks. So it's going to be good. It's going to be fun to see how much better these guys can get throughout the season. I believe that they can get a lot better. I believe that they can really get their confidence back, and start putting together quality at bats. Let's get those strikeout totals lowered. Right now, Sable has the most strikeouts, 27 strikeouts and 56 at bats. Yikes. That is not what you want to see, but it's okay, kid. We'll get it figured out. Conforto, 25 strikeouts and 69 at bats. Wilmer Flores, 13 strikeouts and 75 at bats. Way to go, Wilmer. I like seeing that. That is fun. You like to see that. Joey Bart, 33 at bats, 10 strikeouts. That can be better. But right now he's slashing 303, 378, 364. Got an OPS plus of 106. Hopefully, he'll be able to come back here pretty soon. And that little groin, I think it was a groin, right? Or a hamstring. Won't be bothering him too much. Let's look at some of our pitchers real quick. Logan Webb is actually in the top 5 in all of MLB with strikeout totals. He's at 43 right now. That puts him at a 10.4 strikeouts per 9 right now. Unfortunately, he hasn't had a scoreless outing yet. So far, he's given up 20 runs and he's 1-5. There were those first 4 starts where he gave up 4 earned runs each time, and then the last 2 starts he's given up 2 earned runs. And win-loss totals, I've heard different opinions and different takes on how important it really is. I think it's a good indicator, though, if you see a pitcher with a lot of wins and then his strikeout rates are up and his walk rates are down and his earned runs are down. That's a good pitcher. I think a good pitcher on an even better team is a pitcher that has a higher win total, even though he can give up some runs and maybe a couple of walks, right? So as much as some people want to try and say that, giving up 4 runs is not good for a starting pitcher, well, it's also not good when your offense can't help back you up and try and get 4 runs too, or 5 runs and get you a win. So you can't just completely lay all the blame on the pitcher, especially when some runs and some base runners get on base because of errors, infield singles, things like that. So before you lay all blame on certain pitchers and certain actions, you really got to look at the quality of the pitches. You got to look at how the runs are scored. 3 true outcome scores. Yeah, that's all the pitchers. That's all on the pitcher. You give up home runs, and your defense can't do anything to help you out, except when they get on offense, try and score. But other than that, walk total, he's only walked 5, so that's really fun. Our ERA leader is Alex Wood at 1.8. You like to see that. So, although he has only pitched 10 innings, Sean Manaea has pitched 16.1, Cobb 28.1, Dave Sclafani 30, and then Logan Webb 37.1. Cobb's now sitting at a 1.91 ERA. Dave Sclafani at a 2.7. And real quick, I want to touch on the errors too, the fielding errors. So when you look at the errors, let me see the totals. We have 19 errors. That puts us at 14th in the NL, which is not where you want to be. But one thing I do want to point out, it's not really all on the defense. You look at these errors, and let's look at the guys that have errors. Webb has one. Lamont Wade Jr. has one. David VR has one. Stripling has one. Blake Sable has 5. Tyro has 1. Crawford has 4. Conforto has 1. Cobb has 2. Bart has 1. Scott Alexander has 1. So if you don't count pitchers and catchers, and you want to ignore Brandon Crawford's 4, then that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 errors on infielders and outfielders. That's not bad. I don't know what it was at this point last year, but we're definitely improving, which is what you want to see. I mean, I know we've been disappointed in the season so far, but think about it this way. It could be worse. We could be getting worse instead of getting better, getting healthier. We got Slater and Haniger in now. Slater's been, like I said, hitting. You go back and look up here. Slater's 4 for 7 now that he's been back. So this team's getting healthier. They're getting their strides now. They're getting their feel back. They're getting their confidence back. You got young Blake Sable, who's got his first walk-off now, and his confidence is through the roof. If you listen to any of his interviews, it's great to hear this kid has as much confidence as he does. Now we just need him to remember to keep his hand pulled back while he's catching the ball. I get it. Catcher's not actually his natural position. He did not play a lot of catcher in the minor leagues. From what I remember, I think one of the stats, I'll get it for you next show, was like maybe 100 games in the minors as catcher. Just keep that hand back, kid. Can't be getting catcher's interference calls as quickly and as much as you are. But we'll see what happens this weekend. And if you remember on the last episode, I did say a good, reasonable, realistic expectation for this stretch, these 3 series, Mets, Cardinals, Padres, was 500. We're already 5-3 through this stretch. If we can just take both of these games from the Padres and Mexico City this weekend, we'll be 1 game under 500 going in to face the Astros and then coming home to face the Brewers. And those are 2 good teams right now. Once again, I want to thank you for listening. I truly appreciate it. If you have any comments, pointers, tips, corrections, just let me know. Comment on the YouTube videos. Find a way to message me. I truly appreciate any and all feedback that I get. I am, like I said, trying to learn as much as I can as I do this. I want to put out the best product for you guys. And once again, shout outs to my sources for all of this information. Like I said, a lot of it comes from ESPN, Baseball Network, or excuse me, ESPN Baseball Reference, Ump Scorecards, Baseball Savant, and then, of course, NBC Sports Bay Area with Alex Pavlovich, and then The Athletic with Grant Brisbee and Andrew Bagley. So I will see you guys after this 2-game set in Mexico City. Have a great weekend.